Hi everybody. In the spirit of Halloween upcoming very soon, and because I've seen a lot of other people post their ghost stories, I wanted to post one of mine. I had lived in a farmhouse in a very small community. I moved in when I was 12. The home was over 100 years old. It was a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, very secluded. Upon moving out in 2001, I had found out that there were some suicides associated with the property. One relating to a drug overdose and another relating to cabin fever, because up in the north it can be very secluded, very remote. And this was long before I had even moved in. This is like a very long time ago. So, my worst experiences would be, when I first moved in, I was, like I said, a little youngster, so my mom chalked it up to childhood imagination, new house, so on and so forth. These stairs scared me for a very long time. We lived there like maybe 10 or 11 years, something like that, and that whole time, throughout, my preteen, teenage years, and even into an adult, I just had this creepy feeling like somebody was watching me. Before I moved out, my neighbors, whose grandfather actually built the home, said that a man had hung himself on the banister, which was really creepy to find out. But anyway, some of the stuff that would happen would be, people would hear, among me and, people that stayed over in my room, because my room was right above the kitchen, you'd hear whispering in the kitchen. From from midnight to 4 in the morning, somewhere in there. It was loud enough to annoy you, it was loud enough to distract you, but never loud enough for anybody to understand what they were saying. On several occasions I felt like there was somebody in the room with me, and I would feel like something cold was just sitting on my legs. And I would feel like this cold sensation travel up one leg but not the other, and it felt very isolated and very controlled, which made it kind of creepy. In another instance, there would be scratching in the wall. And at first I thought, well, this has to be an animal or something, but it had weird timing. Like, it would start at 3 a.m. and it would end when the sun came up. And I told the landlords about this what was happening, and they checked out and they said, well, we don't see any scratches here, there's no mouse droppings, it's not a vole, it's not a rat, there's no possibility that it's birds, because they didn't see any nesting or anything of that sort in there. So we were kind of at a loss for that one. Trying to think. Stuff would go missing a lot with no explanation and then reappear in a weird place later. I had gotten a check for my first piece of artwork that I ever sold. It was to a Frank Sinatra impersonator. And when I got this check in the mail, I was pretty proud of it. So it was on my purse and it was in my wallet. And I left my purse in my room, and I came back to go get it, to go cash it, and the check was gone. I looked for it for about a week, and finally I got so angry I just yelled, "Whatever the F is in my house, I want my damn check back, and I want it on my bed when I come back." And sure enough, it proved its existence. I had, torn up the room. I had looked all over the place for this check. My mother looked all over for it because she knew how important it was to me. And we never found we only found it on the bed when it just happened to appear. It's pretty weird. Other friends of mine that had come over had, weird experiences. One time a friend named Carrie sleeping over. She was on the floor, and I was in the bed, and I had a nightmare. I woke up, and a ceramic unicorn had gone from one side of the room to the other and smashed against the wall. And it woke Carrie up. She screamed a little bit. She's just like, what was that? And there was nothing that could have knocked the unicorn over. There was no plausible explanation that I could find. Yeah, there was like these little circular things that would show up in photographs a lot. When we thought, you know, me and a friend of mine, we just said, oh, we'll just take these photographs and maybe something will show up. I was kind of skeptical at first, you know, I'm like, oh, whatever. But sure enough, all over the place, there's like, on some of our family photos of kittens, because my mother used to raise kittens, Siamese, there would be like this cloudy, misty stuff all over the photos, and we took them back. We're just like, hey, you know, we paid you money to develop these, you know, pictures. What's wrong with these? And the person that owned the shop didn't have any logical explanation for us either. So, other stuff that would happen would be just a lot of like cold chills, like I would be, you know, in my room studying or whatever, and I would just feel like a cold, like just only on my back. It would just be like very isolated, very, you know, certain spots. And when I moved out of there, yeah, I thought, oh great, you know, I'm getting away from it. And I went to school for free. I went to this place called Job Corps. It's a pretty crazy experience. George Foreman went too, just so you know. Very cool guy. But, yeah, that experience definitely was worse than the one that I even had in the farmhouse. Oh, and another one I remember. I was cleaning my room. And, you know, I was just getting stuff ready to move. I was about ready to go back to, you know, I was moving out of the house. I just wanted to get out so bad. And this spoon, you know, this is another example. It was on a desk, and it went from the desk, it just, like, it lifted off, and it took off across the room. I was like, oh, well, that's weird. You know, none of it really, like, was terrifying, except for the unicorn incident. It's just like you're having a nightmare, and at 3 in the morning something just picks itself up and throws itself across the room. I guess that would scare the tar out of anybody, or just about anybody anyway. But yeah, that's a very, very, very small portion of what I experienced. Just wanted to share. So everybody, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.